Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to explain to you one of the interesting topics in second language acquisition. It is called internal processing. So first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Martin and I am one of the students in English department of Unica Sugio Pranoto. So without any further ado, let's move on to the next slide. And this is the theoretical framework of our topic today. There are language environment, filter, organizer, monitor, and learner's verbal performance. I'm not gonna discuss all of the parts because I'm gonna focus on only three parts, which they are the filter, organizer, and monitor. So let's move on to the first part. So the first part of internal processing is called filter. And what exactly is filter? Filter, according to the source that I quoted, filter is the part that subconsciously screens incoming language based on what psychologists call affect, the learner's motives, needs, attitudes, and emotional states. And it determines which target language models the learner will select, which parts of the language will be attended to first, when language acquisition efforts should cease, and how fast a learner can acquire the language. So the filter in our mind subconsciously decides what language we pay attention to based on our feelings and motives. It's like a gatekeeper that determines what parts of the language we learn first, when we stop trying to learn, and also how quickly we learn. So we are not aware of this process. Next are the factors that influence filtering. There are at least 4 factors that influence filtering. First, there is social circumstances. Second, integrative motivation. Third, instrumental motivation. And the last is social group identification. I will discuss the social circumstances in the next slide. Next, this is the explanation of social circumstances. I quote this source from a book that I found on the internet. So I'm not gonna read the explanation. You can just read it in this video, but I will explain to you. So social circumstances can influence our motivation to learn a new language. For instance, if a school requires the students to learn a foreign language, it can affect their motivation. Similarly, the community and how the language is used in someone's life can shape their attitude towards the language. So social circumstances is the first factor that can influence our motivation to learn a new language. The next factor is the integrative motivation. And what is that? So in short, the integrative motivation is the desire to become proficient in a new language, to be part of that language community. So it reflects our personal interest. We learn a new language to be part of a language community, not for the practical reasons like you want to get a job. No, we learn a language to be part of that language community. That is what we call as the integrative motivation. And the next factor is the opposite of integrative motivation, which is the instrumental motivation. What is that? It is the desire to learn a new language for practical reasons, like getting a job. So it reflects the usefulness and advantages of learning a language. So we learn a language to get a job. That is what we call as the instrumental motivation. for the practical reasons. And next, which reasons below are integrative and instrumental? So there are four reasons. Like for example, we call it we want to study French. So there are four possible reasons for studying French. And knowing French would, number one, be useful in obtaining a job. Number two, be helpful in understanding the French Canadian people and their way of life. Number three, permit meeting and conversing with more and varied people. And the last is make one a better educated person. So, which reasons do you think are the integrative and the instrumental? So the answers will be provided in the next slide. And these are the answers. So if you say that the first reason is instrumental, then you're correct. If you say that the second reason is integrative, you're correct. If you say that the third reason is integrative, you're correct. And if you say the last reason is instrumental, you're absolutely correct. So this example is illustrated by Gardner and Lambert. So this is the example what the integrative and instrumental motivation are. Next, it is the last factor, which is the social group identification. So basically, the social group identification is similar to the integrative motivation, but there's a little bit difference. The social group identification goes further beyond the integrative motivation. Integrative motivation is about participating in the culture of the language speakers while staying connected to your own group. And the social group identification is about both cultural participation and becoming part of the group that speaks the new language. So when we talk about the social group identification, you live your culture to be part of another culture. But if we talk about the integrative motivation, you stay in your own culture. You don't live your own culture. So that is the difference between social group identification and integrative motivation. Next is the middle part of the internal processing. It is the organizer. So what is organizer? Organizer is the part of our mind that silently helps us arrange and structure the new language that we are learning. It follows logical and analytical rules, although we are not aware of it. So it's the same like the process of filtering. We are also not aware of this process of organizing. Next, in organizer, we have the term transitional constructions or interlanguage. So what is that? It is the interim structures learners regularly use during the acquisition of a particular target language structure. So transitional constructions are like temporary language structures that we often use when we are trying to learn a new part of a language. So when we try to learn the language, the structure of a language, we are in the process of organizing. Next, there are the types of error that learners often make when they learn a new language. First, there is the omission of grammatical morphemes, as in the sentence, I buy some coloring book. As you can see, the past and the plural markers are omitted. And then the second type is the double marking of a given semantic feature, as in the sentence, she didn't want it. As you can see, in this sentence, the past tense is marked more than once, so it is error. And the third error is the regularization of irregular verbs, as in the sentence that mouse catched him. As you can see, the verb catch is an irregular verb, so the second form should be caught. Next, it is the fourth type of error, which is the use of archiforms. It means using one form for the several required, as in the use of the accusative for both nominative and accusative pronouns, like them going to town and the sentence I know them. And next, it is the fifth type of error, which is the alternating use of two or more forms whose conditions for use are still being internalized. As in the phrase, too much dolls and many potteries. And as you know that doll is a countable noun, so it should be too many dolls. Not too much. Much is used for uncountable noun. And the last type of error is the misordering of items in constructions that require the reversal of word order rules that have been previously acquired. As in the sentence, I don't know who is it. It should be I don't know who it is. So the placement between is and it is reversed. It should be I don't know who it is. And next, we have come to the last part of our discussion today. It is the last part of the internal processing. It is called the monitor. So monitor is the part of the learner's internal system that appears to be responsible for concise linguistic processing. So the monitor is like the part of our mind that we used when we concisely try to understand and use the rules of a language. So when someone reads about grammar rules in a book or listens to a teacher explaining them in a class, they are using the monitor. When they do the activities that require them to pay close attention to, and like practicing sentences or memorizing dialogues, they are using the monitor. So the monitor produced the outputs from the input that have been filtered. Next, it is the degree to which the monitor is used. So the degree to which the monitor is used depends on at least the following factors. First, the learner's age. Second, the amount of formal instruction the learner has experienced. Third, the nature and focus required by the verbal tasks being performed. And fourth, the individual personality of the learner. So how much the monitor is used depends on things like the person's age, how much the formal language instruction they have had, what the specific task requires, and the last is the individual's personality. Next, this is the last slide of my presentation today. It is the linguistic domain of the monitor. So it appears that the use of the monitor is limited to lower level rules of the language, those that are easy to conceptualize. Concise knowledge of a rule, however, does not guarantee that a learner will use it. Conversely, many people can correct grammatical errors or stylistic flaws by feel. So it means that the monitor is mostly used for simple language rules that are easy to understand, but knowing the rule of a language doesn't guarantee that you will use it. Because why? Because many people can fix errors by their feel without thinking too much. So that is the linguistic domain of the monitor. Okay, so that's all my explanation today. Thank you so much for watching and listening to my presentation. I hope that you enjoy watching my video, and I also would like to apologize if there was a mistake in my presentation, because I know that both of my explanation and presentation are far from the word perfect, but still I have tried my best to explain it to you. Thank you very much. See you next time. Goodbye.